Hello and namaste, my beautiful friends. I'm Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of March the 10th, 2025. Now, this is a buckle up, buttercup kind of week. I know that we've all been experiencing a lot of intensity, but we're about to have things ramped up yet another level from now into the beginning of April. Now, there's definitely some bumps in April, but I gotta say, I've been working on the forecast for my membership, and there's a lot of positive flows of energy in April as well. And so I know last week I was so despondent when I was filming, and I apologize for that. This week, there's still a lot of really stressful things happening. I know for me personally, for the collective, but that said, there's a great song by Death Cab for Cutie called Beauty in the Breakdown. And there's really some things that are, I think, being broken down so that they can be reformulated. And so look at that in a macro sense, but also the micro. Really focus on what you can do. And some of that is to dream the new dream, to see the new possibilities that are being revealed through these difficult moments, through these moments where we say, I can't believe, or this would have been impossible. Right? We have to look for the possibility within it. So let's hop into the week. Now, setting the stage, we have a lot of planets that are very close to each other. And so when they get mathematically very close to each other, usually 3 degrees or less, we call it a conjunction. And this means that the energies have to find a way to work together. All right? They're influencing each other. And this amplifies the energy, right? It increases the volume. The more characters present in the particular zodiacal sign, well, of that, of course, is going to amplify the energy that is being dispersed in that area of life. And so the huge focus, as we've been talking about for weeks and weeks, if not months and months, and almost more than several years, is the Neptune. Neptune in Pisces, the Saturn in Pisces. We have just this huge Pisces party happening. And of course, most souls struggle with the energy of Pisces, that energy of that's just so deep and so cosmic and misunderstood, and not really something that the linear mind can absorb, process. It's more about feelings and intuition and deeper understandings and a blending of the realms, so to speak, because it's the very end, right? The end of the zodiac. So that said, we have present as we speak at the beginning of the month, we have Saturn and the Sun very close together in Pisces. And then just a few degrees away, we've got the North Node amplifying Neptune, also in Pisces. But then just a few degrees away, but in a different sign, we have Mercury and Venus, both in Aries, very close to each other. So these are strong influences to have these planets in these little clusters, right? So that's an amplification of the energy, which makes it more difficult to absorb. So you must be nimble. You must be more adaptable in your stance or approach to the week. The other thing to mention is that there's the lunar eclipse occurs on the 14th. And remember, then we have a solar eclipse coming up on the 29th. And then the movement of Neptune into Aries on the 30th. This is a large volume of changes and transits. Now, one of those things about really feeling that Mercury and Venus coming together in Aries is that your passions and your mind are going to be melding. There's a certain amount of immaturity and spontaneity to this energy. Try to stay on the spontaneous, creative, why not kind of youthful attitude about things instead of being argumentative, adversarial, all these kind of shadows of the Aries energy, right? But let those passions guide you. And remember, you can't count anyone in or out until we get to May, because Venus is retrograde, Mercury's in the shadow, and in fact goes into retrograde this week. And then, of course, Mars is still emerging from its shadow. It's still in Cancer. It still needs to go through the early degrees of Leo before it starts to hit some new territory. So again, we are in a big reshuffling, a big, it's so this week, I keep getting these images. And I remember at my daughter's doctor's office, there was this big sand table and it had all these little characters with magnets, and you would take the magnets underneath and move them around from underneath. That is what it feels like this week, right? The things are happening underneath, behind the scenes. That's all this Neptunian, Piscean energy. And we're not exactly sure how it's all going to end up. And so you must remain adaptable as you move through these next couple months. All right. Then we have the sun meeting Saturn in the sky. And of course, this is always a little bit of heaviness. Sun, Saturn, Saturn is old age and time and authority and rules and structure. And just, the sun is just being its creative ball of magnificent light. And here comes it's the grumpy old man of Saturn, right? But this, that said, if you feel a sense of overwhelm and difficulty and, that Saturnian sense of things, which can even bring like depression and full on like overwhelm, try instead to think, okay, what can I do for Saturn? What can I do to honor? Because we want structure, right? Diligence and hard work are values to embrace. And so where can we dedicate ourselves, even if it's just to work on our deepest inner self in a way that's disciplined, right? Give some structure to your practices, and that will be something Saturn will appreciate. Now, remember, there's always a Saturnian delay as well. So you might not even feel this on the 12th or 13th, but then at the end of the week, you might be like, oh, I feel it. I feel it now. Especially because we've got this amplified energy of the eclipse. So this is a full moon lunar eclipse. It's on the 14th, but it's at 2:55 a.m. So the middle of the night, East Coast. Adjust it for your time zone. And this is in the sign of Virgo. 23 degrees. If you know your chart, look and see where around 23 degrees of Virgo is. Now, this is a culmination. This is an ending. But yet, it's the first eclipse in the Virgo-Pisces axis that we are going to be having over the next year and a half. And it's a reinitiation of a 18 and a half, 19-year cycle. So we can look back and see, what was going on then? And what can we do now? But in its most base level, we're going to see something from the Virgo area of life go away, disappear. Now, if we were going to kind of put some intention or framework around that in the most general sense, it would be letting go of self-criticism, letting go of self-doubt, letting go of perfectionism, right? There are no perfect people. There are perfect moments, but no perfect people. Letting go of health habits that don't serve us anymore. These are things that Virgo energy is really attuned to, and this might be helpful. Another thing to remember is that the Virgo always needs to feel needed and be of service. And so this could remove an obstacle that allows you to feel more useful, to have a purpose. I think that's one of the major problems, societal problems that we're having, at least in the United States. People don't feel like they have a purpose. People feel like they have no meaning. They don't feel seen. They don't feel appreciated. Everybody needs a mission, right? I mean, we all need a mission. So there could be some themes around this that come up, which might be useful. Now, another wonderful thing that I'm loving that begins to really strengthen this week is there's a sweet little sextile between Uranus and Taurus to the Sun and to Saturn. That is an aid. That is a blessing. That is some, kind of crazy synchronistic, weird, crazy things happening, right? So have your everything means something kind of mindset, because you're getting prompts, you're getting clues from the universe about how you might be able to find a way through this maze of complex energies that a lot of people in charge are not handling very well, frankly, and that we have to be responsive, right? We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we react. All right. So I'm also loving this this moon trines to Uranus, and it is kind of in a little bit of a opposition here with Neptune. So we do again have to find that balance between that Virgo Pisces part of our life, the daily life, the interior life, right? The perfectionism and the understanding that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? So then on the 15th, Mercury will pause in the sky at 9 degrees of Aries. Now this precise degree is kind of intriguing because that's exactly where the eclipse is going to happen on the 29th. That's at same point, 9 degrees of Aries. And so there might be some clues here about where a new beginning is supposed to initiate that you may have to reconsider, rethink, and repair over this Mercury retrograde period through the end of this month and into next. So where is early Aries in your life, and where do you need to take some actions? Now remember, with all these retrogrades, we're taking actions, we're setting our intentions, but we're open to potential. We're open to things going in a different way. We are not going to try to overly control things, right? We're going to surf the wave. Now, another thing to pay attention to is on the 15th, we begin to get much more of a grouping of planets in Pisces. So they're beginning to tighten up. The Saturn conjunct the Sun, conjunct the North Node, conjunct the Neptune, and Mercury and Venus touching as well. So this is volume up astrology. This is volume up energy. And then I want you to also pay attention because we have two reasonably significant moon voids. On Tuesday, the 11th, we have the moon void from 4:16 p.m. Eastern all the way until almost 4 a.m. Eastern the next night. So adjust that for your calendar. And then also on the 16th, the moon is void at 5:53 a.m. Eastern all the way until the 17th at 3:30 a.m. So the entire day, East Coast, it is void. Now, if you need those time zone charts, I do have them on the blog, on the website. My wonderful husband has been preparing those for me so that you can just take a glance at the month and see for your own time zone where the moon voids are, because there are several significant moon voids for the month of March. And we really want to pay attention to those because those are fruitful for creative work, but they are not good times to make major decisions. So, it's going to feel like an acceleration once this eclipse energy starts, all right? So stay grounded, stay practical, stay attuned to your angels and guides, and also basic preparedness level. I'm going to keep harping on about this. I have a blog called Astrology and Preparedness on my website. You can search for that, so check that out. But this is another time period where we really need to be adulting. We need to be taking care of ourselves and then taking care of the people that rely upon us. So I hope that this week is good for you. I hope that you can really lean into that sextile that Uranus is sending out from the area of life that's Taurus, right? I'm really looking for that blessing. I personally think there's a lot to be gained from this meeting of Mercury and Venus. I think Venus in her warrior phase is needed at this time to really find her strength and power. And I'm also, I'm really thinking for the week, it's also really interesting. The first few days of the week, Jupiter doesn't touch anything. Jupiter's just sailing through in Gemini. And that might not be Jupiter's favorite place, but it's still a very creative place, idea-oriented. So reach out to your people. If you get the inkling that you need to have lunch with somebody or tea with somebody, or just somebody pops in your head a couple times and you haven't heard from them, text them, okay? There could be something there that really feeds in to the synchronicity that Uranus is present and available to offer to us this week. Now, as far as the shadow, I just would say Sun Saturn's always hard, okay? Things feel very heavy already. And then now to have the sun, feel the boot of Saturn, that could be really heavy. And so reach out to your people who maybe, get really down, get overwhelmed. Help them to understand that this too shall pass. I'm also keeping an eye on this massive pileup in Pisces. I don't know about you, but it hits a couple very important sensitive parts in my chart. So I'm trying to stay very adaptable and understanding. Even just minor things like not overdoing it, even when I'm like gardening, right? I want to get out there. I want to do, and I'm like, Jill, the body's getting older. Let's be a little bit more gentle with the body. So slowing down a little bit, right? And then also I would say the caution flag goes up on that Mercury retrograde. I don't know about you, but I have had quite the Mercury moment this week. Multiple things happened, and I was grateful that I was able to look at it and be like, okay, slow down, don't overreact. This is a Mercury retrograde moment, and so we'll see. But look for the message of that pause on the 15th. Look for the message, because that theme might really come through when we get to that eclipse at the end of the month. All right. I hope you found this useful and helpful. If you did, please comment below. It does help the channel to grow. Please hop on the website, by the way, if you're at all interested. I am connecting with my dear spiritual sister Ushi in India and taking a group on a spiritual retreat to India and Nepal next year. So the information will be up on the websites under the retreats tab. So check that out. I do have space for just a few more members in my membership. It has been filling up, and that has been a joy for me. It's wonderful to track people's transits every month, to offer them assistance and guidance. So that's been wonderful. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see what the tarot has to say for this week. I think this is a wave that could be useful to surf, to take you to a place that maybe you didn't even consider before. So, all right. Namaste, my beautiful friends, and I'll see you in the tarot. Hello, my beautiful friends. Let's check out the Isis Lotus tarot spreads. The tarot spread that gives us 2 different outcomes for the week of March the 10th, 2025. Preparation for the Ides of March, as they say. All right, so reading for the collective, 2 distinct ways to work with the energy. All right, my darlings, where we're coming from, the past, Page of Cups. I begin to think that we got this card last week. I'm trying to remember. But anyways, we had an idea, okay? That's where we're coming from. And this is you, Queen of Wands. You need to take care of things. If something's nagging you, you need to deal with it. Do not let things rest if you need to tend to something. Okay, I've been trying every day to do 2 things off my to-do list that I've been procrastinating about. Just like I just set that, like, okay, 2 of the things you don't want to do, Jill, and then the other things. So it's helped. The environment, wow, well, thank you, Cosmic Guides, for reassuring us with the Magician that we have everything we need. We are never given something we don't have the skills to handle. But as these things come together, we've got the 3 of Swords. It's definitely some stressful energy about, okay? Now, the key card of the future, 8 of Wands. Something's going to happen this week. This eclipse is going to kick something off, okay? Something is going to shift rapidly. Now, 2 different things will happen. 5 of Wands, either there's going to be a conflict, some difficult energy, or 3 of Cups, or good news. So very, very distinct. You will know this week. It's like, not quite working out. Oh, okay, this is actually a good thing in my opinion. Now, the detail card for the future, the Emperor. So you must step up and become the empowered leader within your own life, the decisive decision maker, be the person that you need to be. Create the thing that you need to, that you would need. It's the Emperor energy is hugely empowered and cosmic and big picture. So this is you. Now, the modifiers here on the 5 of Wands side, well, there could be a sense of procrastination or not really doing anything. On the 3 of Cups side, there's some positive movement that will help put things kind of back together again. Now, over here, 5 of Wands, 4 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles. So be sure to look at whatever happens this week as something that's teaching you how to gain a new skill. And on the 3 of Cups star side, try to have a positive attitude. Try to focus on what is working instead of what isn't. Don't obsess. Now, 2 possible solutions or progressions on the 5 of Wands, 4 of Cups, 8 of Pentacles side, Knight of Wands, so action or anger. Oh, and on the 3 of Cups, star, and 5 of Cups, the Page of Swords. So definitely some difficult emotionality no matter what happens here. But on the Five of Wands side, that argumentative side, that you're kind of assuming something, but you should really look at what you're learning. You have to take an action, and it's to walk away from something. Okay? That action that you need to take is to leave, to exit. On the Three of Cups side, well, if you get some good news this week, something shifts or changes, look for the opportunities for healing and hope with the Star. Focus on the positive. Try to handle it maturely, right? Whenever I see the Page of Swords, I just think the whiny child, right? No. Look at this, passionate lovers. There's something good for you there. All right, well, I'm feeling pretty good about this week after this, but do be skillful and prepared for a sudden shift. Now, this could be a shift that really makes you feel a sense of conflict or disagreement or brings you into conflict. But remember, you're the emperor this week, okay? You graduated, all right? So act like an empowered person who understands how the cosmos works and that you can manifest your best life. Now, do not just sit back. Go ahead and dedicate yourself. Hone your craft. Learn more skills. Understand what's going on so that you can move swiftly to leave this bad situation. Or information comes in and it's exciting. Very fulfilling. Again, remember your role as an empowered person who gets to call the shots here. Do the healing work. Do the restorative work. Do the understanding, do the deep, what are the words? I'm looking for the right words here. Do the deep inner work that lets you understand just because you didn't work out the way you wanted doesn't mean it didn't work out in your best and highest interests, right? So try to focus on the positive. Try to be emotionally mature, mentally mature, and watch your mouth. I mean, remember, Mercury and Venus in Aries, yeah, the filter is off. So put the filter back on just because you don't want to make a mess with your mouth, and look for this wonderful opportunity. So, pretty intriguing week. I hope it is marvelous for you. If I can help in any way, let me know. And I'll see you next week. Bye.